Okay, we should be live. Welcome, everyone. Happy Sunday. I see my friend in the comments already. Hello, Jeremiss. I'm gonna turn on the live over here so I can see myself. Excited for today's conversation. First Sundays are my favorite, and I'm joined here by someone that I met. I don't even know how long ago. It was when I first moved to New Orleans, so probably back in 2018, 2019. And I mean, then you really gave me my first opportunity, my first real opportunity in film and television. So I'm really excited to have this full circle moment with you.
Thank you. I'm over here frantically trying to wipe off my whiteboard because I know you're going to drop jewels that I'm going to want to write down. But yes, I'm so excited for this. Yes, in a lot of ways, it's a full circle moment too. And I'm just so grateful and honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to give you a quick intro just as everyone comes in the room. Let me just put up this screen for everyone as you're coming in. As I do this intro, I just want you to settle in and just have these questions in the back of your mind because they're going to come back up later. So, um, first of all, Daniela Capistrano, please let me know if I'm saying that last name incorrectly. But they are the founder of DCAT Media. Daniela is a writer, editor, strategist, and a radical magic maker. They have done so much impactful work, including launching MTV News Social and working on Translash, which is an organization that Daniela actually brought me in very early on when they were working on a series. And that was one of my first TV opportunities. So, Danielle, I want to pause and give you a second to just say a little bit about what you're working on right now and what you're calling in, because I know that you are also taking on new opportunities. So I want to take a second to give you a moment to say something about yourself.
Thank you, Nick, for that awesome intro. It's an interesting reflection point when something culminates in an ending after many years, which is where I'm at right now, with a few different projects of mine, Translash being one of them, um, where things kind of come up to you in hindsight and you start to see both the positive patterns in your life and then also the patterns that you may play into your own like blocking of your blessings. And I'm not coming at it right now, or I'm doing my best to not come at it from like a place of judgment,
Yeah.
but more so just really reflecting on like, yeah, where have I been my best, advocate, and where could I have stepped up to that in a way that I, would want to do moving forward. And so that's just where I've been at mentally right now, and also just really trying to lean more into my own artistic passions outside of like a capitalist paradigm, like creating in a way that's healing. Um, that's mostly where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. And a new, how old, if you don't mind sharing, how old? I know you have a toddler, right? So I imagine
Yeah.
moving into is expanding as well.
Yes. So my partner and we have a 3-year-old, and he made 3 in April. And so, you know, preschool, getting past the potty training stage and into the very like they're learning how to stand up for themselves and speak
Mhm.
their truth, and their truth as a baby doesn't always align with, reality. You have to help like calibrate, and sometimes they check you too, where they like bring you into the present, which is really important, and help you see things in ways that sometimes it's harder to do as an adult, where like you're inundated with the mundane and the stressful, and kids are always often like in this magic place if they're allowed to be, right, if they're given that privilege. So yeah, thank you for
Yes.
asking. Yes, he's awesome.
I love children. I love watching children grow and evolve and make their own little decisions. I do not have children of my own, so sometimes I'm very surprised at the developmental stages. Like, oh, okay, this kid can talk. I didn't know that. That's like how that. Sometimes I'm surprised by just the things that children and young kids can do and the pace at which they're doing them. I feel like I know I was born in the '90s, so technology was just kind of emerging in my generation. But my nieces and nephews, the things that they can do with a little phone is something that is just so incredible. So I am excited to see your son moving into technology and just like the innovation that comes from that generation.
Yeah, I mean, they're kids born on devices. It's on one hand, I mean, we could have a whole conversation just about that, but to keep it brief for me, on one hand, I envy the opportunity there that I wish that I had at that age, a much younger age. But also, I absolutely don't envy it at all. And I think there's something to be said about some of the better parts of an analog childhood, especially about bodily autonomy, you know, and so much of a child is put on the internet without their consent. Um, and often their parents are financially exploiting them, right? And so that's something that I think there there are new laws being considered right now to help protect children in the way that they have laws for Hollywood, and I'm so for that. But yeah, it's definitely. I'm so glad that I did not come up in the age of like IG as an adolescent or TikTok as an adolescent. No,
I
I'm good
agree.
with none of that being documented on the internet.
Literally, I
Literally, I
don't want to see
want to
my
see my
camera
camera
from that
from that
time
time
period.
period.
So
So
definitely don't
definitely
want to
don't
see
want to
those
see those
recent
recent
things.
things.
Yeah, I
I
agree with
agree.
that. I am happy to
I'm
see
happy
those
to see those
as well.
as well.
Protection needs to
Protection
be
needs
there,
to be there,
especially when
especially
young
when young
children don't
children
have
don't
that
have that.
consent to decide, do I want my journey documented in this way? Do I want people to see me evolving in this way? And even just the ways I know that I get stuck in my digital personas. So being able to not have that on you from such a young age feels like something that we should all have the opportunity for. So thank you, thank you. Okay, let's see who's in the room. Let me get over to Instagram. Give me just a second, y'all. I want to make sure I'm live over there. Um, it was just Danny's birthday. We were just talking about that and how they celebrated with their partner. I what is that Libra season? Are you an astrology person?
Yeah, I'm a big time Libra. But I was supposed to be, I was born premature, so
Mm,
I consider myself to be like a Lorpio, like I'm part Scorpio, part Libra, and depending on who you talk to, that's a great thing or a horrible thing.
I have
But
never heard
it's
of
me. I saw in the comments someone says that they heard an echo.
Okay, it's probably. Give me just a second, y'all. It's probably my headphones. Yes, Jeremy's is a Libra. That's one of my very good friends. Her birthday just passed September 28th, so kind of close there. Was your birthday the 29th, Danny?
Yeah, you have a great memory. It was the 29th.
I try. Okay, so I'm gonna try and fix that echo. We may not be live on Instagram, but that is okay.
I don't want to like speak out of turn about your tech stack, but I'm definitely impressed with all the stuff you have going on right now. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
reverse engineer, look back at it later, but right now I'm just focused on this one window, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all this stuff is happening simultaneously.
Yes, I'm so excited to get into it. Once I get through my little technical things here, I am really gonna dive into everything. But thank you. This has been a journey, a really big journey for me over these last few months, this last month. So I'm excited to catch y'all up. Okay, so I'm gonna nix Instagram for now because I don't think I'm live over there, but I actually just want to keep going. So let's dive in.
All right.
First, let me just say that this is a safe space. Oh, Jeremy, are we still hearing the echo? Can somebody let me know if we're still hearing that echo? I'll let that come in, but hopefully we're okay. If not, I can definitely put on my headphones here. Okay, cool. Not right now. Then I won't bother with my headphones because they are always failing me. I have AirPods and Apple technology. But anyway, Okay, I am done with the technical difficulties. Danny, thank you for being patient. I feel like live streams never go well for anyone for like the first 10 minutes. So, well, maybe for you. I know you do this professionally a lot more than I do. So, you
No, you're
probably have
good.
some
This is great. Also, I'm just being nosy and looking around, so I'm ready whenever you're ready.
Yes. All right, y'all. I just want to start saying that this is a safe space. This is a place to be imperfect. This is a place to be vulnerable. This is a place to share ideas. We don't have to be so overproduced and well thought out in this space. This is also a space where we respect each other. We really do practice radical love in this space. Hate will not be tolerated. I'm a Taurus. I have no problem getting you up out of here and letting that be a forever, forever hate kind of thing. So I just want to be mindful of the way that we move through this space with each other. But let's go ahead and dive in. So I want to remind you all, why do we reset? Why is this practice so important? For me, and Danny, I would love to hear your answer to this question and anybody in the comments as well. For me, it's important to reset because I'm consuming so much from month to month as a creative, especially someone who does that professionally for myself and for other clients. I'm always consuming, always taking things in. I'm always shifting. Sometimes I feel like from the time I wake up to, I mean, even just noon, I must have been three people by then. So having this opportunity to just stop, take a pause, and reset is an opportunity to reflect and change course if needed, to give myself thanks, to give myself gratitude, to give the people around me thanks and gratitude, and also to reflect on, like I said, how we can show up for each other. Um, Danny, I would love to ask you, why do you practice resetting?
Well, there's multiple reasons, but I'll give the main two. I think I heard a bit of an echo too, so it might be something on my end. I guess we'll see how it goes. Um, so I am somebody who is neurodivergent, and so sensory stuff can play out throughout the day in different ways depending on what's happening. And so a reset for me is often both related to both emotional overwhelm, but also like sensory overwhelm. So I have to make sure that I find a way, both in the beginning of my day and at the end, to sort of bookend my reality, for a lack of a better, easier way of saying it. That also kind of gives me permission to reconnect with my own body and mind. And so I try to keep myself, other people are more regimented in how they do that. Like they might meditate or they might do yoga or whatever. And all that is fine. For me, it could be like, I'm going to go sketch something or I'm going to write in my journal. I just try to keep it open. And that's how I handle resetting day to day.
I feel like being open is one of my most difficult practices because my natural inclination is just to always close up and curl up. So even just the practice of learning how to stay open, which we are definitely going to do a meditation here because I also want to experience that together and experience us just coming in together. But I love that. I love that. I love that reflection. Let me see the comments here. Jeremy says, it's important for me to reset because of the field that I'm in. I use so much of my brain power regularly and can feel mentally drained. I need to reset and ground myself and recharge. I definitely feel you on being mentally drained. Mental exhaustion is something that if I'm ever trying to hack my brain and do something there, it's always just in how can I create systems so I can do more with less, because mental exhaustion is real. And I know from now and considering our previous pre-colonial times, whatever, we make so many more decisions than we ever had to. When we didn't have all of this technology and all of these interconnections to each other. I mean, just from the time we wake up to the time we brush our teeth, we make so many decisions, even just leftover anxiety from the day before that we're still noodling on. So I definitely feel you, Jeremy, on needing to reset and just recharge that mental battery.
Same. Yeah, I can totally relate to that statement in my own way.
Okay. So this is the part of the show where I just want to take a minute and let us get grounded together. So loosen up, loosen up, find a comfortable position in your seat and turn your palms face up to the sky so we can be in receptive mode. And you can rest them on your hands so that that's more comfortable. I'm going to close my eyes. You don't have to. If you're driving and listening to this, you can feel free to just soften your gaze, or if you're walking, or if you're somewhere that you just can't close your eyes, just feel free to soften your gaze. If you feel safe enough and you are alone or sitting down somewhere, feel free to just close your eyes and start taking 3 deep breaths. We're going to inhale and then we're going to hold it at the top. I'll count us in. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let's do that again. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Exhale, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. And let's do a big inhale. Pull all the way from your roots, from your core, from your solar plexus. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale. 9, 10, 11, 12. And as you exhale, just let your shoulders drop. Let your body release and feel looser. Take a quick scan of your body and just notice any tightness in your forehead, in your jaw, in your shoulders, in your neck. You may want to roll your neck a little bit. Just loosen it up. Roll your shoulders back. Wiggle your back if you need to. All the way through to your hips, your legs. Just keep allowing your body to feel heavier and heavier as you release. Allow the ground to fully support you. If you can, wiggle your toes. Let every bit of you feel soft. And as your body relaxes, I want you to take this moment to also thank yourself for all of the work that you have put in this month. September had a lot of moving parts, and I want you to take a minute to reflect on all of the ways that you showed up for yourself, that you pushed through your fears, that you made tough decisions. And I just want you to thank yourself. This is a moment to reset, to align with yourself, to rest, to find inspiration, to find community, to find connection. There are no rules here, there's no script here. This is just a space to connect and purge and let go. We're going to slowly come back to the room. And as we do, I just want you to hold this softness with you. And as you feel safe, you can slowly start to wiggle your fingers, your toes, move your body parts, and open your eyes. Ashe.
I got a little sleepy, but it's a good thing.
I get that a lot. Okay. If you're in the comments, please drop a comment. Let me know that you are with us. I am going to read a quote from Maya Angelou that I found earlier today. This really is in alignment with what I just spoke on about always needing to have this space of rest and reset. Maya says, every person needs to take one day away, a day in which one consciously separates the past from the future. Each person deserves a day away in which no problems are confronted, no solutions searched for. Please let today be that day. Welcome everyone joining us, past, present, and future. If you're watching this video, watching this recording, thank you for joining us. And we are going to dive in. But first, I just want to give a quick background on myself because I did not do that. I'm Nick Stephanie. I am an artist, I'm a strategist, and I'm a small business coach. I typically work behind the scenes, but this season I am pushing myself to really get out into the community. That is what prompted me to start this journey as a coach. I work behind the scenes with lots of clients and just doing my own work, but I really wanted to create a way to bring my services and bring my talents and my gifts to my community. So, coaching is that offering. Through my platforms, you can find many things just like this live that we're on. You can also follow this podcast of the same name, The Creative Reset, where I offer free guided meditations. This is actually today's meditation, The Pleasure of Slowing Down. This is really perfect for fall if you are looking for a way to maintain that momentum, but still be able to find rest in this season, just as nature does. This is a good meditation to listen to. And it's centered around, I think it's an Audre Lorde quote. You should go listen and see. Don't take my word for it. um, so before we get into that, I want to ask one of the first questions that I like to ask, and Danny, you've already given a little bit, but how are you in this moment? How are you doing? How are you feeling? How are you coming into this space?
Thank you, Nick. How I'm coming into this space is one of like thoughtful curiosity, because one, I've been looking forward to this for some time now with you, but I didn't know how it was going to unfold. So just generally, I was really grateful and also curious. And then outside of that, and the layer of what happens on a Sunday for me, which is thinking about the rest of the week and the planning, um, really trying to overcome that tension point where the preparation for the week doesn't rob me of living in the present on Sunday, which is something I struggle with quite a bit as a neurodivergent person, and then also as a small business owner, um, partner, friend, yada yada. I'm always trying to anticipate things. What's around the corner? How do I solve for this? What things do I have to line up to get from point A to point B? All of that strategizing on one hand can be helpful, but it's also so emotionally exhausting. And so this is a great opportunity for me to both kind of just acknowledge that that's often my reality, and that it's also okay for it to me to for it. I don't want that to be my reality on Sunday, because then it takes away from that time to reset. So thank you for creating this space so that we can do that and share that with other people.
Of course, having holding this space is something that really just reminds me to also reset, because same. If not, then I would just barrel right into Monday. I this year I would say was my first time really aligning my weeks, right, aligning my days with the planet. So each planet is ruled by a day, and I did this thing where I shifted all of my Monday meetings to Tuesday. So Monday is now my planning day. Um, I have the privilege to do that because I am a consultant and I can often shift my own meetings. So I just want to acknowledge that I know not everyone can do that, but having that day really gave me back my Sunday because I didn't, now on Sundays, I really can just do the things that I want to do in terms of preparation or what, my anxiety is most pointing out. Because sometimes I just have to feed the anxiety monster and just do the thing instead of trying to wait until Monday morning. But
No, I love that. Whenever I can make sure that I don't have meetings on Monday, which obviously isn't always possible, but that, I mean, if I could do that every week, I would. Absolutely. Oh, I think you're muted.
of course, I was saying in the comments, let me know how you're coming into the space and how you're feeling. Yeah, I think Monday meetings they should be outlawed. That doesn't even make sense. We just finished the day up on Friday. What do you mean? What's the update on Monday? I don't know.
No. Yeah, another thing that I've started doing more that actually has made a huge difference for me is, as a remote worker, you can fall into the habit of not seeing people. Like it's very easy to go a whole day, and especially if you're already in meetings virtually, to like not spend time in the real world, depending on what you have going on in your life. And then as a parent, there's always a million reasons to stay home or it'd be more kid focused. But I've been building and making sure that I in the beginning of the week spend time, even if it's just with a friend, to go get a cup of coffee or go co-work, answer emails, work on something for just a few hours and just be outside, be have some kind of weather experience around you. And yeah, I feel like my whole week goes a lot better if I make time for like in-person connection on a Monday for sure.
Specifically on Monday, I like that. I like the idea of that. I tend to do a lot of my social things on Friday because Friday is ruled by Venus, and Venus is the social planet, the planet of love and romance. So I feel like that's usually when I really come into myself. But it actually, I'm going to try that this week. I'm going to experiment with making Monday my day to schedule some fun. Maybe I'll drag Jeremis out since she needs a release.
Yeah, because also I'm a what I refer to as an extroverted introvert. So, like, I love to be around people, but then it drains me. And I find that it's harder for me to do more social stuff later in the week if I didn't like give myself essentially that exposure therapy on Monday of like, okay, you're gonna people this week, right, Danny? Yes. Okay, here's a taste of it on Monday, just a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do more of it during the week. Whereas if I don't do anything, and this is just me, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, you have like a bunch of stuff on Thursday and Friday, and then I'm like, no, I'm no. So I just, yeah, build it into the peopling, the scheduling of the peopling time for me is important.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep that in my mind this week. I am now out in Chicago, so I've been jumping around for at least 5 years now. And now I'm finally settled, finally in my home here in Chicago. And I need to have more people. My home in the South, I feel like I have people everywhere I turn. There's family, there's friends, and I don't really have to try so hard to be social. But here in a new city, I definitely get into that remote worker. It's just me in my cave, and then I look up in 3 days, and I'm like, I haven't even left. Like I haven't even gone around my building that I live in. So I'm going to keep that in mind. And if I do it on Monday, then it's already done. So I don't even have to worry about it on Fridays. It could just be extra.
Yeah, I mean, there's zero judgment on my part because, like I said, if I'm not intentional with it, I could easily let a whole week go by and it's just in my immediate sphere. And also, I've been experimenting more with ways to like go out and not be like, when people say it's so expensive to go out, yes, it can be, but also it doesn't necessarily have to be. So, like, how do you reimagine relationships with people where it isn't just limited to let's go get drinks or let's go eat at this restaurant. And I mean, but trust me, I'm down to do those things all like a lot. But also, it can. I just the other day I went out with some friends to like the lakefront around Lake Pontchartrain here in Louisiana, and it was just so beautiful out, and the sun was shining, and we went for a walk, and it was just really nice. And yeah, just trying to reconnect with nature and yeah, be a little more open to like letting things happen spontaneously also, which sounds counterintuitive to like scheduling peopling time, but you could also just schedule time to be like, let's just see what happens. Like let's just go in this area and like walk around and yeah, depend on the hour of the day. But yeah, spontaneity.
I feel that. Yeah, definitely. Spontaneity and also connecting with nature. I usually try if I when I remember to get out, I start the day with a walk. Even when it's cold, and it does get very cold here, and then I slip and slide on ice, and I'm like checking to see if somebody saw me. I'm the clumsiest person I know, but having that moment to get out and touch a tree, touch some soil, or even just feel like the frigid cold air or whatever the elements are giving that day, I feel like that is something that just immediately grounds me into where I am in this present experience because I can definitely be all up in my head. And so much of my work as a strategist is also just being up in my head, and I love it up there. It's a great place to be. It's my little playground. But yeah, I need to go out and touch grass daily.
What I love what you've been creating out of being all in your head, the different offerings that you've been sharing, these past several weeks. I don't want to. I mean, it's in my nature as a journalist and then as a media maker to start asking questions. So let me pause for a second. Is there going to be a point where I can ask you some questions too? Okay. Yes.
Yes, yes. Um, and I can actually dive into that. So I just want to share a little bit of what I've been working on. Oops. Okay. So what Danny is referring to is my baby that I have been birthing. But I need to start with the quick story. I'm going to make the long story short. But I quit my job back in July. I resigned from my position where I worked as a senior creative leader, and I decided that it was time for me to just really focus in on my own efforts. In addition to pursuing new clients, I just kind of wanted to take this moment to really bet on myself. And I created this process called Flow. And if you've seen me talking about it, if you've seen any of the offerings, and you've probably heard a little bit about it, but I just want to share very quickly what it actually means. So, by definition, flow is the action or fact of moving along in a steady, continuous stream. And for me, flow is the only pathway forward. I won't lie, it was not easy to resign from my job. Just as I mentioned, I live in Chicago. I don't live near my family. And although I have some savings and a way forward, and of course, just skills and things that I can do, I knew that what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it was definitely going to take a lot more than what I thought I had at that moment. So, but I had something. I had a spark. I had a mustard seed, and if my friend Bree was here, she would tell me, that's all we need. But flow was my mustard seed, and my goal was just to figure out how can I expand this spark, expand this feeling into something that is steady and a continuous moving stream. So often in my creative projects, I come in and I have this big burst of energy, and I can give a good 6 months, and then it just kind of fizzles out. But with the process of flow, I really wanted to create a way to get unstuck. That was a thing that I was really dealing with at this time, and then use that energy to transmute whatever it is that I was going through, the anger that I was feeling, all of the emotions that I was feeling, convert that into a steady, continuous stream that led me to the place that I wanted to end up. So, um, this process, how to get unstuck and drop into flow, stands for flow. F, face your giants. L, listen radically. O, open your vault. And W, work your unfair advantages. Of course, I'm not going to go into this right now because we are definitely going to get down into it in a lot of the future videos that I have coming. But if you go to my site, you can actually get a preview of the first chapter for free. and you can see exactly how I apply these 4 steps to move through. Honestly, I use them just to move through the day. You can read these very quickly and kind of get an idea of what it means and how you can apply this. Face your giants being look at. I try to go to the root of an issue. We can definitely get caught up in situations and circumstances, but if I can go up to the biggest giant, go up to this root of the issue and face that, then I can move past that feeling of fear or that feeling of resistance, whatever is preventing me from getting to a place of creative imagination and allowing me to access the information that I need. L, listen radically. This includes not just listening to yourself, but listening to nature, like we were just speaking about, listening to your ancestors, whatever deities or energies you connect with and pray to, having a space to even just listen to the silence, and not feeling like you need to always be moving, moving and releasing things. Sometimes you do just need to take a beat and stay silent. O, open your vault. This is about really looking at your past, looking at your treasure chest of the experiences that you've collected and the community that you have, and figuring out everything that you need is already here. We just have to see the value. We have to see the value beyond the things that we're taught to look for, which is money, profit, these things like that. There are resources that are available to us that may not look like the money. They may look like the ingredients, but not the final meal. So we just have to train ourselves to understand what do we have in our vault, and then finally work your unfair advantages. I have plenty of them. As a Black queer woman from the South, I have always had the experience of learning how to navigate spaces and rooms that were not designed for me. And that's an unfair advantage that I have, because someone who does not have that experience does not have the skills or the resilience or the strength that I have, or even just the emotional empathy that I can hold just for being someone who has experienced that pain, of not being accepted. So that's my quick spiel. Like I mentioned, you can definitely read the first chapter for free. But Danny, I want to pause and give you an opportunity to get into your journalist bag and ask a few questions, whatever's coming to mind.
Yeah, no, well, first off, thank you for that great intro into flow. And I love the acronym structure, especially about facing your giants. Um, I'll say that I really connected to that point, um, in that the last, so I, this year I intentionally did something that I have never done, which was that I put myself in a 6 month artist residency that started in March and around March. And it was because I knew that with everything going on in my professional life, it was going to be really hard to have like a self-directed artistic practice with like an outcome that I was tracking for and that I could collaborate with. And so I bring that up to say, to turn it back to you, of, you know, you're an artist, you're a very creative person. I can see your artistry imbued in what you're doing here. So you're already taking that artistic part of you and putting it into like this healing, transformative tool that you're sharing with others. I'm wondering, how are you then, though, continuing to feed Nick, the artist, yourself, just for you? Or does this become that too? Yeah, I'm just curious how you continue to feed yourself in this moment of where you're creating a lot for other people.
So
So
I have
I
the
have the
privilege.
privilege.
I have the privilege of having ADHD. So I have a million and five hobbies. I mean, just looking around this space, I have a guitar, I have my records. This is an art desk that flips up. I paint. I have a pumpkin out there that needs carving, a balcony garden that needs nurturing and growing. So, and I love cooking. That's really a way that I practice my creativity every single day. Just this morning, I was cooking with rosemary. I tie that into my ancestral practices, really looking into what the herbs we work with and what the food we work with, what does that actually mean and what energy does it carry. So today, the herb of choice was rosemary. So that's a thing that I do just to infuse that artistic process into the cooking so that it's not just me preparing a meal, which is, of course, more than fine, but it also becomes an experience of itself. And it's just a way that it's a thing that feeds me. Um, I'm very fortunate to have a lot of loving community around me. So there are people always really just bringing me spontaneous ideas of creativity and artistic expression. You know, we might go do a class together, or we might just break out and just start to, do some type of creative project together, or do some dancing, something like that. But yes, having that balance of being an artist and also creating, especially creating for capitalism, creating for profit, creating under a capitalist system, it's really important. It's really important that I give myself the best. Anything that is for sale is great and it is my best, but really the things that are in my home, the art that I create for myself, that is the very best. I always give myself the best first. And this offering is in a conversation that I felt led in the creation to just share with community because this process has helped me so much. So I never come from a place of being an expert or even this body of work being complete. I feel like you all are just watching it unfold with me. And that also comes from having that artist relationship and just being able to make sure that even if it's something as logistical as I schedule out artist dates, I make sure that every week I have time to actually gather inspiration because that feeds the work.
I don't want to say I was surprised that you said that because I assumed that you were somebody who had a lot of projects percolating, but just the way that you described it of how it like kind of feeds all your different engines is very, very cool, and it kind of validates a lot of what I just, yeah. No, I think it's so important that you've honed in on like what not only sustains you but helps you feed into these different projects simultaneously. um, I use that 6 month. So just to be clear about like logistics, I have to be really like highly scheduled with my time for all the reasons I gave earlier, and so this program was primarily virtually, and we met many times over the 6 months, and we had creative collaborators throughout the state of Louisiana, and it culminated in this artist show reception group show. And I used that opportunity to try a different artistic technique that I'd never done myself, which was the grid method of essentially transposing like a sketch that I did on a tablet actually, and then scaling it up with the grid method on a 30 by 30 canvas. And then, so it's like pinned on my Instagram if anybody wants to look at it. It's Miha Returns. Um, and it was a different style. So this year I've just been trying to push myself in creative ways that I've never done before, because I'm finding that I almost enjoy the process more than the outcome. Like, and that's been so meaningful to me, especially when your whole job is around deliverables for clients, right? Like that's a very like specific way of looking at that kind of work, but it is, right? Like at the end it's about the outcomes. The client is less interested in how you got there. They do care, but they really care about the deliverable, right? But for my artistic practice, there's so much that can be mined after the fact from that engagement of like trying new materials or like talking to people about your process or like experimenting with something, and all of that is really valuable. And so that's been a really gratifying thing for me, is just trying new things and not stopping myself just because I'm concerned it might not work out.
I feel that in my own practice, the audience is one of my biggest hurdles to work through because I come from, like you said, that deliverable driven environment. In marketing, I'm usually thinking about the audience first and working backwards. And of course, even in my coaching, I'm starting with the person and then working backwards on what the deliverables are going to be and what I'm actually going to deliver. And I love being able to have that space in my artistic expression where I don't have deadlines. When something makes it up to the surface to be shared, it's just because that was just the time that it wanted to be birthed. I don't have timelines that I hold myself to with my artistic creations. My goal, my rule really is just that I be in the right space. You know, if I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna be critical, well, you know, let's put the brushes down and let's just work on radical acceptance of self in that moment, and let's work on being a bit more kind. It doesn't always come very quickly to me, you know, so I may have to go for a break or just kind of be frustrated and feel that frustration. um, and for a while I thought that made me not an artist. You know, I didn't realize that that was something that lots of artists battle with, just the frustration of creating. So I've only recently started to really lean into the title of even being an artist and being someone who has the ability to create. I had to look beyond outcomes. I had to look beyond art as uh, drawing, painting, writing, these typical things that we align with that word, and really think about where's my artistry. And that's where I came with cooking, which led me to my love of agriculture. And if you've spent any time with me, you probably heard me talk about wanting to have a farm. So that is where my artistry is right now, winding down too. So I'm looking forward to just sharing that journey with you all. It feels important in this season to be sharing that. And in previous seasons, it just hasn't. So I am learning in real time. I feel like even that is an art of itself. Just learning how to dance with that line of just learning how to dance with the audience, learning how to do this and evolve and grow with people watching is art in and of itself.
No, and thank you for sharing your being so both transparent but also vulnerable with your process, because in you inviting me here, right, I get to be a part of this learning experience for you as someone who's engaging it with you. And I'm learning like as well, like yes, I've done this a ton for clients, but actually I've done very little of it for myself, mostly because I wasn't interested. But I'm also feeling like as I evolve as an artist and a storyteller, it's going to necessitate this kind of stuff too. So just seeing how you're doing it is so eye opening. And yeah, I'm someone who processes a lot after the fact. So I'm just like scanning it all. This is great. I love it. I'm nerding out a little bit, I'll be honest.
I appreciate that. Like with the design with me, design is a place where I have always felt like an imposter until I learned that I literally just need to feel my way through it. Like, who cares about this whole idea of is this good? Is this bad? Is this created? You know, is this out? Does this thing exist? Does this idea exist somewhere outside of my mind and my imagination? That is really what has driven me in this moment to just actually get things out into the world. The fact that I have a book out, which on this screen, you can definitely read the first chapter for free. The first chapter is F, Face Your Giants, which I think is a really big chapter to start with. And it's a really big process to start with. But also included in this book, which you can kind of see up here on the screen, is a 21-day creative detox at the back of it, and also a creative reading list with over 50 titles from revolutionary voices. If you want to just continue this path of getting to know yourself, it's really helpful to hear words from other people or read words from other people who have done that work as well, that work of liberation. So I wanted to include some of my favorites and just references that I have taken from the community. So this book is, don't be fooled by the size. It is small but mighty. I promise you, each chapter you may have to spend weeks with because maybe you're not in a space of facing giants, you know, and that may take time to even recognize what a giant is. And if I say that, you may think about the big giants out in the world, but really what I'm talking about are those silent giants, those inner giants of self sabotage and doubt and all the things that we carry around that slow us down, but we don't actually have something to project it onto so that we can work with it. So this book will give you a process to do just that, and hopefully support and community. That 21-day creative detox is there to just help you integrate this into your daily life so that you always have something to lean back on when you feel like you're flowing through the fog.
I love it. Thank you. In the realm of giants, this year was an opportunity for me to face one from like 2015. And I'm only bringing it up because I feel like sometimes I know that I will build up something in my mind where it becomes self-sabotaging because what I've now become to fear isn't reality. It's more like my projection onto it of things still left unsaid, still unresolved. And so, long story short, art show that I wanted to be in 2015, I had a lot of really traumatic stuff going on that year, and I honestly just didn't feel good enough, and I also became ill, and I let that become the excuse for me not participating in it. And so then a million years later, I have the opportunity to be in that same show again. This is separate from the one I told you. So basically, in the last like 60 days, I've been in two art shows. One of them I had like avoided essentially for a very, very long time. And breaking through that, I don't know, it's changed so much for me where I'm, yes, still needing to, certainly earn income and grow my business and all those things, but where now my own artistry is like a priority for me in a way that it hasn't been in forever. And that part of that was getting through this mental block, this giant of worthiness, really, and attaching too much meaning to past missed opportunity to sort of signify that like you only had that one chance and that was it. And it's like, well, who said that was my only chance? And okay, now that that's done, what else are you going to do? And facing it with more curiosity than like a lot of self-doubt, curiosity being the more dominant thing, which is opening up more things for me.
Yeah, I curiosity and being open. I said this earlier, but that does not come natural to me because if I have to be curious and open about, which I naturally can do with anxiety, how bad things can go, then that means I should also have the capacity to the duality, right? The polarity here. I should also have the capacity to be curious and open about how good things can go. So I feel like I'm in a season. The more that I can remain curious and open, even when things don't seem like it on the outside, I feel like I can for the day find the next step forward in that journey, whether it's me as an artist or me as a coach or a strategist for someone else. It really has become a day-to-day thing for me. I feel like when I was younger, I could just, I don't know. I felt like I could just do this and like opportunities and things would just kind of magically appear. But I really have a desire to do something that just comes from me. I feel like I'm doing something that is just very unique to my fingerprint, and that is giving me um, yeah, it's just giving me an opportunity to grow in front of everyone. So thank you for that. I am encouraged by that. And I just want to also mention to anyone in the comments, please feel free to share any of your stories. What did that bring up for you? Just hearing that flow process, hearing that flow method, which of those may have been your favorite? Um, Maybe you started doing it just as we were talking, just thinking about some of those giants. But please let me know and go get a free preview of that first chapter so you can read it. Okay, so now when Danny and I were talking about this live, one of the things when Danny was catching me up on just everything that they had going on over the past month and what they were looking forward to for the rest of this quarter, one of the words that Danny used was "I'm determined," and that just stuck with me. I really could not let that word go because same. At any time in my life, I feel like right now, more than any time in my life, I feel determined in a way that I don't think I have before. I feel determined to really do it my way, which is kind of what I was just expressing with my artistic expression. I have this desire to really, I know that I can do what the algorithm prefers. I know that I can do what the industry prefers, but I really am determined to do things my way. So Danny, I want to ask you and anybody in the audience, please feel free to drop a comment. What does determination mean to you?
Well, folks, and I can't wait to see what people put in the chat. if you think of like synonyms of determined, like firm, resolved, you know, I feel like there, depending on your level of privileges in the world, often there's so many mechanisms in place to like psych you out of being determined, right? And then or manipulating the way that you see your determination into like, oh, you're stubborn. Well, sometimes you need to be stubborn because sometimes you're in an environment where you are seeing things for what they are. You're resolved. You're determined to either change the situation or get out of it. And I think that for me, in this season of my life, where I'm really focused on remaining and cultivating being determined, is that I'm under no like illusion that it's going to be easy. I want it to be easy for me, but we're going into like yet another election cycle, and regardless of who wins, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and as a small business owner, the ups and downs of those things. So I'm aware that there will be challenges. I just want my determination of like my desire to achieve my goals and serve my purpose in this life and to be of service to others. I know I can't do any of those things without determination. I know I can't do any of those things without remaining focused on my goals and my dreams. And so I feel like if I lose my determination and I let other people tell me what I'm capable of, or I let other people dictate my momentum, um, I'll lose faith, I'll lose hope, and I can't lose those things. So for me, determination is just a tool, and it's just kind of, it's almost like the, I'm not a seafaring person that much, but whatever's the light at the front of the ship, that thing for me is the determination of like, okay, here we go. We're going to keep going. We don't know where everything is or how it's all going to unfold, but we're going to get there. That's what determination is for me.
I love that. It makes me feel like determination is almost a willingness, it's a willingness to go forward. No matter what is on the other side of this door, I'm willing to put my hand on this handle and turn the knob. And, I can, one of my affirmations that I just wrote down last night is I trust myself to handle whatever comes my way. And being able to know that in my preparation and all of the things that I have, all of the experiences that I've gained up until this moment, I can meet it and I can handle whatever is going to whatever is going to be on the other side of this, because I am determined to get on the other side of this. Jeremy says determination is being able to find solutions to problems. I like that. I like that, Jeremy. How do you how do you navigate that when you feel stuck and you're not able to find solutions to problems? How do you reach in the bag and really use determination in that moment? And
And
while
wow.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so without being too specific, I had, so an example of determination in this kind of setting. Very recently, I had the potential opportunity with a brand new client, where I was given a verbal and in writing commitment to what was going to be, in a lot of ways, the answer to some of my financial problems and quandaries that I'm in the middle of figuring out. And then, this happens sometimes at the last second. They pulled out and weren't very communicative. So it ended up being a blessing that I'm not going to work. I don't want to work with people who move that way. Um, but it did create an opportunity, which is what I'm calling problems these days, to sort of reframe like, how are you going about new business? And in what ways are there untapped resources where you could both be revisiting conversations with people in your network or reimagining relationships, right? And so that disappointment actually opened up a door for me by allowing it to be this for me. An opportunity to revisit conversations with people in my network, one of which was someone who I've been in community with for over a decade. And just last week, we're lining up ducks to start new scope in December together. And this came out of me, facing this big disappointment in the moment, but also saying, Danny, it's not working out here, but are you going to let this block other blessings? And me being like, well, heck no, like, I don't have time for that. And so I just feel like it's very easy to get sucked into the muck of an emotional or financial hit, and it can rattle you, and you do need to allow for yourself to feel, but also how do you, I guess, bounce back from that and get back into being focused. And for me, determination is part of that bouncing back from those disappointments.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of even what Jeremis is saying. She says it's taking it step by step, things into breaking up the giant into things I can actually face, which I feel like, Danny, that aligns with what you just said. Even if I experience a setback, I'm still gonna go forward. I'm still gonna get up. I'm still going to pick up the pieces. I'm still going to reimagine this, and that is really a process. I hope that we can all reach for in these times, but I know for different reasons, tough times really keep us down a lot longer than we hope. So it's not always possible to reach for hope, which I think is a requirement for determination, because you really have to be driven by something. But yes, thank you all for sharing that. And if you're watching this at a later time, please feel free to continue dropping comments, and I'll be checking these periodically. So I want to hear what you all have to say. But here's my definition: determination is a quiet, steady force. Determination is a commitment to keep going, even when the path is unclear or progress is slow. Progress is slow is the point that I struggle with the most. I am very used to things working out very quickly. And over the last maybe 2 years, life has thrown me lots of challenges. That's what I call my problems. Lots of challenges. And I reframe that because really everything that I've gone through has really made me stronger, and it's given me opportunities to reflect. And in those shifts, just like you were saying, Danny, where like I'm going back to my community and reimagining relationships, it is really encouraging and affirming to know that I had it all along. A lot of the people that I mean, even just this conversation, I've known you for how long? And the fact that you get to be a part of this now, and the people that are watching a lot are my friends. We had it all along. And being able to just have that faith that even though progress is slow, I'm with I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward in a steady, continuous stream, and I am committed. I am committed. I sometimes get in my own way by not being committed. I'm half-assing, right? Like I got one foot in, one foot out. I got a little bit of faith, but it's really topsy-turvy. And as soon as I give it a little bit of doubt, we're all done here. But more than ever in this season, I feel that determination to keep pressing on. For me, progress is slow means I'm learning a lot, right? When I'm in the beginning season of a thing, I just have to be a beginner. There isn't there's no way around it. I just have to learn things. I have to do new things. I have been doing this professionally for so long, but that doesn't really matter because things change so fast. I say this to my clients all the time. It really doesn't matter how much you know about marketing, because the marketing that we're doing in 2022 can be so different from the marketing that we're doing in 2024, with the way platforms and algorithms change, and even just getting public attention for your messaging. And I am someone who practices conscious business and sustainable growth. So really even reflecting on what are we even working so hard for? Like what do we actually need in this? That may make the commitment even less heavier, because maybe you're committed to things you don't really need to be committed to. And that has been a really difficult conversations that I've had to have with myself, dreams that I've had to let go, that I felt very determined on and very stubborn about. I had a dream of being a filmmaker for I don't know how long, and that just never came into fruition. But it's something that I really held on to for 15 years. And now I get to use those skills and talents, and I'm very happy that I pursued that at all. But oh my gosh, 5 years ago, I was so determined that really I was just getting in my own way. Looking back, I think I know how I can make that journey a lot easier for myself, and maybe it'll come back around. I think it definitely will, but um, having to set aside something. It took me 2 years of journaling just to tell myself stop writing scripts. Like just let's just stop for a second, not give up, but let's just literally bring this train to a halt. And that to me really illustrates just how strong the force of determination can be. It took me so long just to convince myself to just take a beat. And I can do that a lot quicker now. But that is my definition of determination. I want to give you a chance, Danny, to say anything.
No, thank you for sharing that. It made me think about how, you know, I feel like artists, when there's like cultural criticism around artists and the telling of their life stories, what often gets left out are, for many artists, big chunks of time when they were not in active practice of their art. Like they were off living, or maybe they went through enormous bouts of depression, or going through family crises, or what have you. And so, I honor that you said, I'm going to set this down for now, but also totally, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the future you were, hey, Danny, you want to check out a rough cut of my film, or, that you were back to screenwriting, and some, I mean, your storytelling ability is showing up in all these ways. I think that too often, right, a certain trajectory is shoved down our throats of what means, this is what success means, or this is what being an artist means. And it's like, no, everybody is unique and we have our own journeys. So yeah, I trust you did what was right for you at the time, and I also trust if you do pick it back up again, that is the right time.
Thank you for that. I At the time I felt like I probably did the only thing that I knew how to do at that time, which was let's just stop. I think people give hard quitting gets a hard rap, but I love American Gangster, and in that movie, they tell Frank Lucas quitting while you're ahead is not the same as quitting. And I have come to really love my relationship to quitting, or the idea of stopping and pausing. I see that more as a confidence thing because I know that I am a storyteller. And it's not my ability to storytell, it's the fact that the resources are being systemically these things are being withheld from me, and that is that's a big giant to be going up against. So much of my frustration with being a filmmaker really was just about how hard it was to get something, even if I went the DIY route, just getting it through post production and distribution and getting it seen by people in a system and I love Hollywood. Well, I don't love Hollywood, but I love the filmmaking industry and the beautiful art that exists. But my God, if we have to have another sequel, a prequel, a part four of the same movie, which I get it. Capitalism is a system, and they want to produce the same thing over and over again. So it's not always open to taking in new ideas. And I believe that has shifted a lot with social media and just platforms really making the big screen and the movies um, compete with smaller screens. Our iPads, our phones, our computers. So I'm actually very happy. Myself back then didn't know this, but I think myself now knows. There's of course still an opportunity, and I have opportunities that pop up, and I'm just like, just don't look at it too hard, like just don't watch it. Because self-sabotage for me is real. If I get my hands on it, we're going down. So sometimes my ancestors are like, you just focus on that, and we'll focus on this, and when it's time we will call you, but not a second before. Like once they kicked me out the kitchen, they were like, and do not come back until we need you.
Yeah, that's so real. Like my relationship to filmmaking has, it's like this constantly shifting thing. And so, as you already know, part of my background has been marketing for film festivals. So like I helped Overlook Film Festival launch in the New Orleans market for the first time in 2018, and I've produced horror programming for different venues, hotels, and I found that trying to run a business full time and fulfill my own filmmaking dreams was really hard to juggle, especially during the pandemic when everything is like, all over. Not that it's, COVID isn't over, not by a long shot, but um, so I had to find other ways to fulfill myself creatively. And back to the whole point thing of determination, I got into a writing program through the New Orleans Film Society, I believe in 2021, just to kind of, so I guess it brings it back to how what works for me, right? Like I can't speak for anyone else. That analytical business part of the brain operating simultaneously with like the artistic side, um, and trying to do those things at the same time can be so complicated. And what works for me is if I can provide myself with some kind of structure, it helps me see a project through to the end. So, like putting myself into this residency, virtual residency program that culminated in art show meant, okay, there is an expectation that you're going to have this piece, after all of these creative exercises. And with some other things that I have coming up, it's the same sort of deal where there's a structure around it. I There's a limit for myself of what I know I can do creatively without some kind of structure. And so I've just accepted that about myself, and now I just seek out those things. So I applied to a residency recently for next year. That's actually catered around parents, and I'm happy to like share the link later, but it factors in that people have kids and have childcare needs and stuff. So yeah, just seeking out things that will give me that structure so I can focus and not, I just, it's far too easy for me to let other people's things become more important than my own. And the structure of a program just kind of keeps me grounded in what I need to do.
As a coach, that is something that I'm really most interested in cultivating with the businesses that I work with. We talk about wanting to be radical and making space for the person who is doing the work, but what does that really mean when that person is a parent or that person requires rest, a sabbatical time away, or has, just all of the myriad of things that can be happening in life? How do we actually apply that in business in a way that isn't superficial? Um, so that is something that I definitely look forward to sharing. Jeremy says, that's how I felt before I decided to enter a PhD program over medical school. Assuming that may have been related to the path being unclear. Sorry, Jeremy, if I don't remember exactly what that comment was relating to, but I do agree. You say sometimes pivoting is the best option, and your dreams can come true in ways you didn't imagine. And I completely agree. Filmmaking taught me storytelling. It was really, really the thing that I was avoiding was being a writer. That was the thing that it brought me back to anyway. But um, I was too intimidated by the task of writing, and having ADHD. My mind is moving so fast, and the words on the page come so slow, and then they don't come in the right format. And so writing was just a very frustrating thing for me to do. And then, ooh, visuals. So I went into photography, and I was like, ooh, this thing could move. Let's just make a film out of it. And then, by that time I had at least 10 years worth of things to keep me from writing, because I'm like, why am I in the camera department? What's going on? What's going on, Nick? I feel like my interns just had to come get me and be like, I need you to get back into your zone of genius. Let somebody else handle this. But I'm happy that I spent time down in the camera crew's room.
Well, you're like a multi hyphenate now. You've dabbled in all these things, and yeah, just I'm sure it helps you in all sorts of ways.
Definitely, definitely. I am looking forward to I am practicing imperfection in this process, and I have so many ideas, and I really just reach for the ones that I feel are most creative, because of course, I can do anything. I can make content, and I can do, like I said earlier, what the algorithm wants, but it's really an artistic moment for me to just make my brand, my personal brand, if I have to have one, really feel like myself. So I really enjoyed this. The book that I'm holding is one that I designed front to back. Every single page is designed thoughtfully by me. I just redesigned my site, and you all see just the trickle of things that I have coming out, and I have lots of surprises. like to do unexpected things. I believe taboo is a man made thing, and we are just going to get right into it and do some taboo things over in my world. So it's unfolding, and that is something that I really like to see in lifetime. So thank y'all for that. A question for yourselves here. You can answer this now. You can take this to your journal. Maybe you have to sit with this a little bit more, but how can I trust the process even when it feels slow or unclear? This is an opportunity for us to just share actionable tips. And you've already shared so much, but I just want to ask you for what's a way that you lean into the process and trust the process more, or even just trust the process at all when it feels slow or unclear.
Oh, I'm writing this question for myself on my whiteboard so I can think about it more. Because I think honestly that there is more, at least for my life, there's more than one way to answer this, and depending on where like how I'm activated or like what's going on with me is what's gonna help me trust the process, right? Like, you know how they say certain conversations you shouldn't be having in like a super activated state? I feel like there are even certain affirmations that just aren't going to work for you in a particular. So I'm writing this down so I can be like, okay, when this is going on, how can I trust the process? And I think the one where I don't know the answer to right to it and I want it is how can I trust the process when I am in a really activated state for real justifiable reasons, when things are happening externally that are, you know, real threats or, you know, real things of concern, of note that need to be addressed. How do I continue to trust the process in the face of unknowns and in a heightened state of like stress and anxiety? um, I think it's so much easier for me to trust the process when I'm not in that place and I feel like in a state of regulation. So yeah, I'd love to hear from other people. How do you, and you, how do you trust the process when you are like in an activated state?
I practice. I have the saying, "Get to higher ground," and that is the number one thing that I do when I know for certain that I am aligned with something that I'm pursuing, an idea that I'm pursuing, an opportunity or a challenge that I'm moving through. I try to hold that perspective that this thing can work out. And when I'm not in that space, my main goal is just to get to higher ground. It may not be I can go from a place of not having hope to a place of having hope in 30 minutes. I may just have to get to a neutral place. I may just have to get to a place where I can just not think about this. In literal terms, I look up. I know that if I can look up in the sky and I can meditate on a cloud for 10 minutes, then I can at least align myself with the idea of going higher. I live in a high rise building, so I like to go up to the roof and just get up to a higher perspective. Sometimes that just changing, just going from ground elevation to a higher elevation, it is literally taking me to a higher perspective, but it also just helps my mind to embrace the idea that there are still solutions present. Although everything is urgent, the bills are due, I have real life things knocking on my door. Being anxious about all of those things in this moment is not going to make the faucet of solutions turn on any faster. So, and I mean, to round that out, really just daydreaming, being able to, I have a really big vision board back up on my wall back there. So there are lots of different sections that speak to all of the different parts of me. And I just like to daydream. I just like to daydream about that person. Because there was a point where I really believed that this thing was possible. And although I feel very far from it right now, if I can just think about what would it be like to go get water in that space, what would it be like to, I don't know, change my pajamas, in this bedroom that I'm dreaming about. There's something about that process that allows me to let go and to know that, okay, I am in the process. I am on my way there. And slowly I start to, get revealed and see the next step. And that becomes the next step and the next one.
That means a lot for me. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's, you know, there's the rational answer, and then there's the reality of what really happens when And so I love the idea of like just look up, like connect with your immediate, and even the physical act of going to the top. I love that idea actually of like getting literal higher ground and some visual perspective. I like that.
Yeah, I love even if I'm just watching the birds, I love a big window. Like right here in front of me, it's just a huge window, and I could stand here for hours looking at the top of the canopy of the trees. I imagine like beneath that, there's so much life happening. You know, I often think about a jungle where there's so much wildlife happening. I can also think about just I'm looking at my neighborhood and there are houses and business. Like there's so much happening under the canopy of that tree. And when I'm standing over it, it really gives me distance so that I can separate myself from the thing. I feel like, oh my God, like look at all the people down on earth. They are doing a thing right now. And like down on earth, I have this thing going on. But I don't know, something about going up higher makes me feel like my true alien self. And that's when I remember I can find a solution here.
I love it.
Thank you. Well, I definitely don't want to keep you all day. So I want, as we move to the close, I want to reflect back on some of the questions that I asked you all earlier. But the first one, what are you releasing? As we move into a new month, we talked about the importance of resetting, and part of the importance of that is just being able to let go and purge. So, Danny, I'm curious, and anyone in the comments, please drop your answers. But what are you releasing this month?
I know that coming out of this most recent birthday and into this new month that we're now a week in, what I'm really working on releasing is continuing to carry the voices of people as like my own thoughts. So people who I've given weight to in my life who may not even be in my life anymore, the weight that I've given to their opinions and to their projections, and in some cases their lies, and not being so clear how deeply that was like ensnared in me, and how I was like regurgitating that as my own thought process. But then I've been like confronting some of that with like a lot of love and compassion, and realizing that has never served me. It has never served me to carry this around as if it was factual, and giving myself permission to let it go and not have it mean that, like, especially for people who are still in my life, that I can't trust them anymore, or that they can't be in my life, but more so being like, um those aren't my thoughts. Those aren't my beliefs. Like, I can put that down. And what do I want here? Well, what I want is my own perception of my reality, because at the end, that's the one I have to live with day to day. And so just releasing other people's perspectives on my life and what I'm capable of, and really just stepping into what I believe is the truth about who I am and what I can do.
That's so powerful. It's so tricky to really realize when you're leaning into someone else's expectation for yourself, because at least for me, it can feel like myself. Like I'm thinking about the expectations that my family may have for me, or even my teachers of the past. Before I knew my voice, before I knew what I wanted and what I didn't want, all I really had were those expectations, and I can end up holding these things and carrying these things for so long, and then one day you look in the backpack and you're just like, oh, I don't even like oranges. Why did I bring this for the journey? I can let this go. And that's such an empowering moment. I used to always think healing was going to be this really big thing, but all of my best growth have been the most simple, unceremonious light switch moment where it was just like, boop, like I was thinking this thing for maybe 10 years, most of my life. And then I just get a little bit of insight, and suddenly I'm able to just let that thing go with ease. This thing that kept me up, this thing that drained me of my energy, that drained me of my inspiration and my hope. Something comes in, the right word comes in, the right song, whatever it is that triggers that. And it just feels like a light switch. And I want that for everyone. So I love that you are releasing that this month.
I see there's comments.
Yes. So Jeremy says, releasing the need to control an outcome and being okay with knowing with be okay with what happens, knowing that I gave my all. Yes, Jeremy. So I hope you write the book on releasing the need to control outcomes, because that is something that I definitely struggle with too. But I definitely am sending you lots of encouragement in that, because I know how easy it can be to get attached to a certain outcome and get attached to wanting things to turn out a certain way, especially when it feels like that outcome not happening feels like a setback. It can feel debilitating. You know, so many things get wrapped up in our identities and who we think we are. And I guess sometimes there's a bigger picture for our lives. And just like we were talking about earlier, there's a pivot that we can do. And then I guess there's a forced pivot where you don't really know what life is going to throw at you. You know, you can do all of the things that you need to do. And sometimes the outcome just does not come out how you thought it was going to. And the only thing that you really can do is radically accept and shift in the moment. But I do believe that knowing that you gave your all makes that, it makes it easier. I won't say it makes it easy, but knowing that I gave everything that I had in a moment definitely makes letting go an easier process.
And I love that reminder too. Thank you about releasing the need to control an outcome, because that can feed into so much preventable fear, right? Like if you're pouring so much energy and fearing what the outcome could be or couldn't be, there's going to be an outcome regardless, and all that fear leading up to it didn't the outcome came regardless. And so I appreciate that reminder, especially through the rest of this month and the end of this year, of really needing to be careful about how much power I give to trying to control outcomes and just moving like, like water and flowing with it.
Absolutely. Um, to answer my own question, I am releasing the need to rush. I feel like part of my determination, I feel very determined, number one, to do it my way, and also to take my time in a time where we don't all have time freedom. I have been given this time in my life over the last few years, just being nomadic, where I have location freedom and I also have time freedom. And in that, I have been able to cultivate so many beautiful ideas and actually bring them into fruition, like this book. And I feel really passionate about this work. And the only way that I am going to do that is if I can release things like perfection, release the fear of judgment, release what I think other people opinions may be about the things that I'm doing, because I am really shying away. I've worked in corporate industries a lot of my career, and when I come in the room and I talk about sustainable growth instead of profit, 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 scale, scale, scale. I mean, people look at me and they're just like, okay, but be realistic. You know, when I talk about really wanting to bring movement and spirituality into business and alignment and intuition into business, there are lots of people who, of course, move the same way that I do. And then there are gatekeepers that are making decisions that are not in alignment with that. So I'm releasing a myriad of things, but overall, I am definitely releasing the need to rush. I deserve to be able to do things my way. I deserve to take my time. I do my best work when I can take my time. It doesn't mean that I always move slow, but it does mean that I don't need to have the feeling of like someone crouching over me. So that is what I'm releasing.
I appreciate that reminder as well. And also a reflection point for me this week, and I thank you for that, is like, how is my energy showing up in a space? And how might I, in ways, make other people feel rushed in ways that aren't helpful? And just being more mindful of my own energy, even just at home, like with my partner, my kid, and then in community. Yeah, it's definitely food for thought, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, I can do the same. I can definitely do the same on collaborative projects, and especially more, I feel like more in personal life. But in this season, I'm doing a lot of solo work. But in my personal life, maybe the people on the streets and the stores, I may be a little bit. I can imagine I might be rushing someone. So it just reminds me to slow down as well too. And if I'm asking to not be rushed, I also have to not be a person who is rushing. So yeah, I am going to be reflecting on that a lot. And also, what are you calling in this month? What inspiration, what energy, what vibrations, what are you calling in for yourself this month?
That's an easy one for me to answer. I want to call in more abundance, period, in all the ways that both feed me mentally, spiritually, financially, but also in the ways that I can give to others, which I don't think they're always necessarily connected. There are a lot of ways that I'm giving, even when I don't feel necessarily that my cup is being filled, but I want more parity or like more balance around that. But yes, abundance in all ways, while I also reciprocate abundance in all ways.
I honestly, I feel very in alignment with that. I am calling in something similar. I'm calling in an abundance of rest and ease. I like to align with the seasons, and fall is a time of rest and renewal. The trees are losing their leaves, some of them, and they are going into a space where they are learning how to preserve their energy so that they can persevere during the winter months. And I feel like I'm on a path with my new coaching practice, with the book. I'm on a path that is just going to take time to unfold. So I want to call in an abundance of patience as well, patience and determination, like we just covered a lot here. And Jeremy says the same thing, of course, love, peace, patience, and productivity. All of that, absolutely. And I'm just adding rest. I want to be able to rest in the work that I'm doing, which is really important. You know, rest doesn't always have to look like me laying down or me not being in motion. I can also rest in the work. And sometimes that just means in the writing of something or in the doing of something, let me just take a beat, breathe for a few minutes, and just, let me turn on some music. Let me make sure my body is relaxed. Like, let me find a way to rest in this moment and find a place of joy, a space of joy in this moment, so that this work does not exhaust me or drain me, though I know that I have to do it. And that though I know that the pace may be one that is faster than I would like to run, because truly, I would like to just be a lady laying out by the water, not doing anything. So the fact that I have to do any work is a lot to ask.
Hey, I relate on many levels, and I appreciate you creating this space for us to, and I mean it with all my heart that like what you're doing is so important because I feel like there's this sterile clinical way, often even of approaching self care, that gets presented as like fit in self care into this like building your empire, frankly, BS that like I don't connect to it all, and I think that's okay. It's also not a knock for people if that's their path. I don't think that's for me, and so you creating this space that is about like showing up as your full self and all your wholeness is so important. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm just grateful to be a channel for this. So much of this it comes from conversations that I've been having with my ancestors for years. And that culminated. I wrote this book very quickly after deciding to resign. It all flowed right to me. I talked about my frustration. I say like it took me 20 years to write this first book, but in reality, it took me maybe 2 weeks from start to finish. And I just to have this physically in my hands, I can't do anything but just give that credit to my ancestors, because if it were up to me, I would have blocked this a long time ago. We would still be working on at least the first chapter right now. So as things come out, as things trickle out, I definitely hope people see um, to see that vulnerability and feel my heart in all of this work, because I feel like that's probably what I've been trying to say this entire time is I know how to do the work without my heart, but being able to bring my heart into this process, it gives it its own unique vibe that is so unique to me. So to even hear how that is being received and impacted by the people around me, and that you all are having the experience that I hope for, which is I hope that this gives you permission to rest, right? I hope that this gives you permission to reach into your heart, and open up your vault and do something that feels uh, new, do something that puts you back in a state of being a beginner. Like, yes, I know we can do the perfect 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 step. We know it's all on Google. We know how to go viral and how to do all of the things, but this is the one life that you have. So being able to really go down into your heart space always, not just when you're at the perceived height of your career. We're always going to be doing that. I hope for the rest of my life that I will be surprising myself with new books and new projects that really dig into my heart space. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And as we come to the end here, I just want us to loosen up and go back into that state of meditation. Straighten up in your seat if you have gotten a little bit comfortable. And I'm going to close my eyes, but I want to close us out with a quick meditation to just let go. So if you feel safe enough in the place that you're at, feel free to close your eyes like I am. If you're driving, if you're walking, if you're out in public, just try to soften your gaze while still being aware and alert of what's going on around you. And we're going to do the same thing. Palms up. Palms up, and you can rest them on your thighs or your chair, or wherever you can, where you don't have to use the effort of your arms to hold them up. Just find a place for them to rest. We're going to take a few deep breaths. And as we do that, I just want you to think about the conversation that we've had today. Think about determination. Think about what it means to be determined, what that means to you. How can you trust the process when the path feels unclear? Think about the things that you want to let go of. And in this moment, we are going to go within and make a space to let go of those things. So, first, we're going to start with a few deep breaths. Just breathe in, and we're going to hold it just like before. So, inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale 9, 10, 11, 12. And with every exhale, just drop your shoulders a bit more. Move your neck around if you need to. Just release any tension. Think about the things that you want to let go of. Imagine that just shaking out of your body right now. Just take another deep breath and inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it 5, 6, 7, 8. Exhale 9, 10, 11, 12. Again, just allow your body to soften. Allow the weight of other people's expectations to fall off of you. In this space, you are allowed to be responsible for yourself, for your garden. You're allowed to cultivate and nurture and grow your garden in any way that you see fit. I'm going to inhale and exhale one more time. And on the next exhale, I just want you to push that air out, make an audible noise if you need to, and just imagine really pushing out and letting go of all of that energy that you don't need to carry into this month. So inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, hold it, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a big exhale, 9, 10, 11, 12. Do a scan of your body. Stay connected to your body. Stay connected to the softness. If you feel tension anywhere, just breathe into that. Breathe into that space. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for taking this moment to reflect and pause. Know that this is a space that you can always come back to. The journey of releasing is one that we have to be mindful of every second of every day. Releasing is not a one time thing, it's something that we are always being confronted with. So there's always an opportunity to stop and pause, let go, and realign. As we move into the season of fall, I want you to remember that this is a time to rest, and just as nature sheds its leaves and prepares for the winter, you are allowed that space and time too. You are allowed to move at your own pace. You are allowed to create from your heart space. You are allowed to change course. You are allowed to let go. You are allowed to shift in the moment. Let's take another deep breath. And as you bring your awareness back to the room, you can start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, move your shoulders, and just slowly open your eyes. I hope you feel lighter. I hope that all of the things that we have asked, I hope you had an opportunity to write some of these questions down. I'm definitely going to share them online so that we can just continue reflecting on them throughout the month. And if you're watching this at a future time, if you're watching this recording, please use those comments and I will definitely be checking in. But Danny, thank you so much for your honesty today, for your time today. I'm so happy that we were able to share space. I am also someone who needs to process in my off time. So I'm going to be thinking about all of these conversations for the rest of the month. And I am just grateful, grateful for your gift, thankful for you being willing to share those gifts.
Thank you. I have to be honest, your voice is very ASMR for my brain, so that was like super relaxing. And then I almost fell asleep again. Thank you. I might sleep really well tonight. That'd be awesome. This has been great for a lot of reasons. Thanks.
I have a guided meditation podcast. So if you need something to fall asleep to, that exists in the world. So it's called the Creative Reset. It's essentially just that meditation that I just did. It comes out every Sunday. And every month you can join us here live with a different guest each time. But thank you all so much for joining me for another episode of the Creative Reset Live. This is a beautiful healing space. I'm so happy that ancestors channeled this through me to create this space within myself and then to create that space in the digital world and the physical world as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Ashe. I pray that everything really sits in, and I pray that this conversation just continues to make an impact on us throughout the month.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who came. We appreciate you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.